You are not muted, but I cannot hear you. Let me check my. Can you hear me? No, I cannot hear you.
Hello.
No, Jaime, how are you?
I am fine.
Where are you? It is the day. I can see
I'm in Korea. I am in
Korea.
Korea.
Yeah, I can see the. What time is it now?
Right now
Yeah.
in Korea, uh, it's 10:33 a.m. in the
10:30
morning.
a.m. Yeah. It is 7 hours. It is 17 hours. Yeah, because I can see the light of the day.
Yeah.
I've never gone to South Korea, also to North Korea,
Oh, really?
but I have heard a lot about the Seoul. I've heard
Oh,
it's a very
Seoul is
beautiful
really
city.
good. I really love Seoul
Everybody loves
because it's my own country.
it.
I really love my country so
Yes,
much.
I have heard a lot of good things about your country.
Oh, now I am with my mom. We arrived in the last Saturday, like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Ooh.
And then right now, because of the coronavirus,
Mm-hmm.
we are in the self isolation.
Ah, yes, quarantine.
Yes,
You are in quarantine too.
it's
Courtney,
not
now
my
you are
house.
mute. Courtney, now you are unmute yourself. No, I cannot hear you. I think your mic has some problems because you are not muted, but there is no, I think your microphone setting has some problems. So you text me and email me about the feedback, Jaime. What about what type of feedback do you need about the midterm exam? Everything was good.
um,
I love your writing skills. It's very good, very deep answering. I'm so satisfied with the answer. What other types of feedback do you need?
oh, I was like just wondering, like, I was like just wondering about the like my like writing essays.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all good.
Oh, is
Have
it?
you written on yourself or you copy pasted? No, Courtney, we cannot hear you.
I was just like writing by myself.
But great, very good, very good.
So I really like my score for my midterm exam.
It was full score.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Also, other students have a good score, but your score was full. I know.
Hmm.
I was satisfied with your answering and your writing skills. Let, let me see, Courtney.
Courtney is here.
And yeah, no, no, you
What?
are silent. You are not silent, but you are muted.
Oh, oh.
Self mutation. Okay, let's go to the course. And Courtney is. Uh, say something? No, no.
No.
You can cancel your attendance and come again. You can cancel your attendance in the meeting. go out of the meeting and come again. Sometimes it is efficient.
The weather is okay. It's nice in Korea.
Weather,
Yes.
is it cold or not?
Mm,
Is it
it's
regularly cold?
for winter time. It's really cold.
Mm.
It's like minus degree,
Mm.
like one or two
Degree minus
degrees.
0.
Oh, not 0. Just like
Minus.
minus.
Oh. Are you connected, Courtney? No, it's connecting to audio. It shows that you are connecting to audio. And now you are muted. Unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself or not? Yes. You are unmuted. Say something. No, it's not important. It's not important. We missed your views about the course, and Jaime will concentrate on the course and will answer a lot of questions instead of you. So you are an observer only. Okay, today and tonight we are talking about conflict. What's the meaning of conflict? Jaime, how can you explain about the conflict?
It's heavy, heavy.
Yeah.
The conflict, I think it means like so like in the company, like you need to like if there is the problem, like serious problem about the work or the project, and you need to try to solve it, the problem.
Yeah.
And there is it's, I think it's kind of like relationship, like with the people, like you need to try to solve it. And I think that's the meaning of conflict.
And is it only about the organizations or no? Is it only about relationships or no? We can sometimes see the conflicts in the environment except of organizations and also relationships. At first, you should know that the keyword for conflict is disagreement. We can see disagreement in every type of conflict. We will talk about the types and nature of conflict. And here, disagreement is the keyword of conflict. In every type of conflict, we can see disagreement between two or more parties, not oneself with oneself. Also, there's a word in psychology and science of selfology or science of self. It is called me conflict. The conflict intrapersonal, the conflict with myself. It is me conflict. But regularly in the social environment, we can see conflict between two or more parties. For example, between the employees, between the boss and employees, and between the partners, between the students of a unique university and other parts. So at first we have two parties. So the second keyword in definition of conflict is two parties, two or more parties, not only one party. And the third keyword in the sense of threat, it is perceived threat. Sometimes it is not real threat. It is perceived, your perception about threatening or being threatened, about your dreams, about your needs, about your concern, about your interests. So in definition of conflict, we have three words. One, disagreement. Two, two or more parties. And three, threat. What about the interests, about the needs, or totally we can call it concerns. So a conflict is a disagreement through which two or more parties perceive a threat to their interests, needs, or concerns. You can see the top part that it is something to the right, other one to the left. One of them is in red, and one of them is in blue. What the nature of conflict? We have two basic major part of conflict. Functional conflict or constructive conflict, and dysfunctional conflict or destructive conflict. Destructive conflict or dysfunctional conflict is very easy. It is destructive, focused on emotions and differences. So what are the keyword in dysfunctional conflict? Emotions and differences. We have a lot of emotional engagement, emotional engagement, emotional involvement together, or emotional conflict or conflictual emotions. And secondly, our focal point in dysfunctional conflict is on the differences, not on the similarities, not in the PowerPoint. It is about the differences and weak points. The second definition is about constructive or functional conflict. Constructive or functional conflict is a positive conflict. Yes, it is about disagreements, but it is about positive conflict and adaptive conflict. We will talk about the differences between adaptation and accommodation. These are in the oppositional side. Adaptation is positive, accommodation is negative. So now we have adaptive and positive conflict balances the interests of both parties to maximize mutual gains and attainment of mutual goals. So in the second part of definition for constructive or functional conflict, at first we have the word balance, balance between the interests. But in the dysfunctional conflict, we have the disagreement between the interest and some sense of threatening or perceived threatening for the interest. Now, in constructional conflict or functional conflict, we have balances the interests of both parties to maximize mutual gains and mutual goals. So the output of constructive conflict or functional conflict, it is about the shared meanings, shared goals or mutual gains, maximizing the mutual gains and attainment, higher rate of attainment of mutual goals. It is the second part. The third part, it is about creativity and adaptation. In constructive conflict, we see a lot of new ways and new gains, creativity and adaptation. Adaptation is coming together for a shared meaning or shared goals. It is adaptation. Contain elements of creativity and adaptation. And finally, we can lead to new alternatives and ideas. So creativity, adaptation, new ideas, new alternatives, all are something good in functional conflict for creating creating mutual goals and for maximizing mutual gains. What are the type or causes of conflict? After talking about two types of conflict, so-called the nature of conflict can be destructive or constructive. It is like criticism. We have destructive criticism and constructive criticism. Is the kind of criticism, the output of criticism or criticism lead to creating new answers and finding new ways. This is the constructive criticism. Or no, even destroying the old games and the old ways and the old gains, everything is destroyed. It is destructive criticism, not constructive criticism. It is something like that in destructive conflicts and destructive conflict. Adverse task conflict. We are talking about the types of conflict. Disagreement about the task or goals. We said that one of the greatest, one of the main core keywords about the conflict is disagreement between two or more parties about the perception of threatening their interest or their concerns or their gains. So task conflict is disagreement about the task or goals. When you have task conflict, sometimes achieving a mutual goal is so hard, especially when they don't want to concentrate on similarity, but they are focusing on differences. Process conflict. It is disagreement how to accomplish a task. At first, it is about the content of the task. And second part, it is about the process of task, how to accomplish a task. It is not about the content. It is about the process of doing or accomplishing a task. Relationship conflict. It is incompatibility between individual or groups. So the keyword in relationship conflict is incompatibility. Conflicts of interest. It is very, very, very regular and very frequent in the organizations, especially in the businesses. Conflict of interest, competition over resources constraints. It is very popular, very frequent in the business environment. And it is a very popular phrase, conflict of interest. Everybody in IT management, in business, they say, we have some conflict of interest. And values conflict also about the strategic leading and the strategic thinking and management. Sometimes we see that we have values conflict arises from incompatible belief systems. So how do you think about the belief system? What is belief system? I mean, oh, you are the only one that can talk now. What is the belief system?
Only me.
Yeah. What is belief system? How do you think about the belief system? Can you propose a definition of belief system?
Belief system, I think, like, because I think I always get confused, like with like believe, you believe yourself, or like you trust other people, and the belief, I think it means like well, I think that is the type of system, but like believe. Yeah, like you believe like something or you.
Is there any differences between the belief system and thought style, thinking style, or not? They are the same. Belief system, your belief system, it is your thinking style. For example, sometimes I have some rational thinking, rational reasoning, and some other people have emotional reasoning. They think, why do you do these things? They said, because I love it, because I like it. It is emotional reasoning, not rational reasoning. Not bad, not good. It's a type of reasoning, type of rationality style or thinking style. Do you think that belief system is the same thinking style or not? Item by item, we can see that, we can see that belief system can work very hard and sometimes very efficient in our life. How do you think about it? Yes, thank you. Courtney says a trust or faith in something true. A trust or faith in something true. And is it the judgment, Courtney? Do you think belief system is the same judgment system, referral system, or not? Oh, it's true. Okay. That you think is true. It is the judgment. Judgment, it is about the true or false, which is good, which is bad, which is true, which is false. It is a judgment system. Do you think belief system is the same judgment system or not? One part of belief system can be judgment system and other parts, what are the other components? We have a model in psychology that can use also in management and business. It is called cognitive triangle. Cognitive triangle says, or sometimes it is called ABC. A is activating event, usually an external activating event. Not always, but usually it is activating event, an event external. And we have C, consequences. It is your reaction, it is response. For one single unique activating system, different people have different responses. Why? For one single unique activating event, an external stimuli, different people have different response. Why? Because of B. It is A, B, C. Activating event, consequences for C, and B for belief system. Belief system is the system you use to interpret the events around you, about yourself, about the world, about the external world, and about the other parts. This is belief system. A, B, C. Activating system, belief system, activating event, belief system, and consequences of belief system. So consequences, for example, is about your emotions, your actions, your behaviors, your self-suggestion, your future-oriented thinking, and other things. This method of interpreting and looking at the world can help you to have a good model to know that what is happening in your life, especially about your belief systems. Sometimes it is rational beliefs and irrational beliefs, efficient beliefs or inefficient beliefs. It is not about the good beliefs or bad beliefs. There is no such thing as good belief or bad belief. We have rational beliefs or irrational beliefs. We have efficient belief or inefficient belief. Every belief can be good or bad. Yes, it is not about the goodness or badness. It is not about the judgment. It is about the efficiency. It is about the utility of beliefs. Can we use this belief for a good, for a more perfect answer, perfect outcome? In contrast, in responding to this type of stimuli, yes or no? So it is about the rationality or irrationality. Values conflict, you can find values conflict in family members, between family members, especially between the two generations, between you and your children. You have a value conflict, which is called generation gap. Generation gap indicates the value conflict between the parents and the children. Different value system, different, not belief system, different value system about the world, for example, in you and your children. Other types or other causes of conflict is information conflict. This is the age of information, and you should know everything about the information in this age of information. Information conflict occurs when people lack necessary information, are misinformed, interpret information differently, or disagree about which information is relevant. So we have 4 keywords in definition of information conflict. At first, lack of information. 2, misinformation. 3, lack of correct interpretation of or different interpretation, and disagree about the relevancy or irrelevancy of information. This is information conflict. Some information I have or you don't have, or we have the same information with different, for example, interpretation. It is information conflict. Disagreement about the information, meaning of information, being or not being of information, as which information is relevant to our problem or not. And task interdependence. Task interdependence is one of the major conflict, organizational conflict. It means that one person or unit is dependent on another for resources or information. So the other source can say, no, we cannot give you the efficient information. In that part, you have task interdependence that is a part of inter-organizational conflict. The structural conflict, as you see, is indicated to the structure of organization, results from structural or processes features of the organization, and after that. Okay, is there any question about the conflict? We missed Courtney. I don't know, what's the problem? Courtney is so active in the class. I don't know what's the problem with the ask to unmute. I sent an asking to unmute yourself. Check it. I don't know what's the problem. You are now unmuted, but we don't have any sound of you. Cannot hear you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what does it mean, like before you said like incompatibility? Like what does it mean?
For example, incompatibility, it is not adjustable together. For example, you know what is iOS and what is Android? You know iOS system for iPhone and Android system for Samsung, for example?
Yes.
You cannot use the application for Android in your Apple. Why? It is incompatible. These are not compatible. These are incompatible. Or Macintosh and Windows. These are incompatible. They are not adjustable. They should not be at the same place and working together. Incompatible, not compatible. Compatible is mean adjustable. Incompatible is not adjustable. Android and iOS are incompatible. Macintosh and Apple and Windows are incompatible. It is the meaning of incompatible, non-adjustable.
So it's not like you cannot use it for like other thing.
Yeah. Okay, Courtney. Okay. We have some interpersonal conflicts, and in interpersonal conflicts, two items are very important. How much can you concern of other people, and how much can you concern of yourself? Based upon these parts, we have 5 states of interpersonal conflict management as the strategies. It is avoidance, competition, compromise, collaboration, and accommodation. You can see in this picture. We have different degrees of concern of yourself or pursuit of self, values and self-interest, or concerns of other people or other people interests, or concern of others and concern of yours. When you have high degree of concern of yourself and also concern of others, you want to be a winner, and other people will be winner too. It is collaboration. Collaboration is the state of conflict management, interpersonal conflict management, that the concern of yourself and concern of others is at the high level. The result is collaboration. When you only want you to be a winner and it is not important for you, concern of others, it is competition. Only your concern is important for you. Other concern is not important. So, high level of concern of yourself or pursuit of self-interest, and lower level of concern of others. When you don't consider yourself and only other people's and concern of others are high, it is accommodation. You lose everything for pleasing others. It is approval seeking. It is attention seeking. It is pleasing seeking. And finally, when you don't consider the concerns of yourself and concerns of others, it is avoidance. You don't want to be in a game. The fifth state and situation is the moderate of considering yourself and considering others. It is not very high. If it is very high, it is collaboration. But in the middle level of considering concern of yourself and considering of other people, it
Can
is
you hear me?
compromising. Yes, welcome. Yes.
I got my husband, I was able to go grab his computer.
Now, that's good.
So, okay, so he got home and I got on his. Okay, so I'm here.
Yeah, welcome.
Yay.
So we were talking about the styles of interpersonal conflict management at 2 dimensions. One dimension, consider of yourself, consider of concerns of your interest, pursuit of your interest, and other one was considering concerns of others. And I said, when you consider your own concerns and other people's concerns at the highest level, the relationship between you and other people is collaboration. It is a win-win game. You consider your own concerns and also consider the other people's concern at the highest level. It is collaboration. If it is in the middle level, it is compromising. In compromising, as an interpersonal conflict management style, you consider your own concern and other people's concern, but it is not very high. It is in the moderate level. But there are 2 extreme parts. At one part, you cannot consider yourself and your concerns, and you should only consider the other people's concerns. The strategy you are using is accommodation. You are accommodating with other people. You lose everything for yourself because you want other people to be happy. It is something like approval seeking, like attention seeking, like pleasing seeking. And in other parts, if you only want to be winner, it's not important concerns of others. It is the stage of competition. So accommodation and competition are in the oppositional sides. And finally, when it is not important for you, your concerns and other people's concerns, it is avoidance. You want to leave the game and it is not important for you. Okay. We have conflict process here. about the disagreement, emotion, and escalation. These are the major part of producing conflict. As you remember, we talked about the emotions in the destructive conflict. When you have some emotional engagement or emotional disagreement, it is not a rational disagreement. It is about of your feeling. You are sad, you are angry about the disagreement with other people. It is destructive conflict. It is dysfunctional conflict. It is not about the constructive conflict. Okay. So potential conflict is triggered by one or more causes: disagreement or perceived conflict. Sometimes emotion is felt, sometimes emotion is not felt. So the criteria is feeling emotion. If emotion is felt, conflict escalates. If emotion is not felt, conflict does not escalate. So one of the good things, one of the good procedures in conflict management is emotion regulation, emotion management. Why? Because entering your emotion to the process of conflictual states or conflictual situations, it is so bad for you to enter this conflictual state. Why? Because you have a lot of emotions, negative emotions. So if emotion is not felt, okay, the conflict is over. But if emotions, especially hot emotion like anger, it is called activating emotions. For example, a negative activating emotion is anger or fear. A positive activating emotion is happiness. Happiness is a positive activating emotion. A negative depressing emotion is sadness, or a positive relaxing emotion is serenity, inner peace. Okay. So the major factor to change the conflict to escalation of conflict to going increasing the conflict is entering or not entering of emotions. After emotion entering, emotion is felt, conflict escalates. And conflict management strategy are two parts. One, conflict is constructive resolve, or destructive conflict continues to escalate. So we can see the process of creating and continuing a conflict. At first, we have some disagreement. The first part is disagreement. If disagreement ends to emotion, we are going to the second part. If our disagreement doesn't have any emotional engagement with disagreement, it's good. This is not conflict. It is only disagreement. No problem. But after entering the emotion to our conflict, conflict go to the second stage. It is escalation of conflict, escalation of emotions make the conflict complicated. It is not simple because a lot of confused emotion you are experiencing. So after that, we go to the third stage. Third stage is management. So disagreement, emotions, and escalation. The fourth stage is management. You can manage it destructively or manage it constructively. If you manage it constructively, it ends to creativity, to find new alternatives, new ways, and mutual gains and mutual goals. We talk about it. But if you are focusing on differences between people, you're escalating more and more your emotions, conflict will destructively manage. And again, to the first point, again, entering new emotions, not solving the emotions, and escalating again, and you are in a vicious cycle. Conflict, emotion, escalating, destruction, again, conflict, emotion, escalating, destruction. And we need someone to cut the emotion, to cut the vicious cycle, to change it to an emotion regulation stage. It is very important, very, very important. Because of that, also anger is a good positive force for motivating you to handle and to manage your conflicts. But if your anger leads to aggression, aggression is not good for conflict management. If anger leads to assertiveness, yes, assertiveness is a very good position to solve the conflict. What are the conflict management skills? Best conflict resolutions behaviors. At first, I think and I hope to see you in the master degree level, in the MBA. In MBA, you have a professional course, so-called, it is conflict management and resolution, conflict resolution and negotiation process. It's a unique course in MBA. It is conflict resolution and negotiation process. Okay. In that part, in that course, we will talk about the conflict management so deeply and in a wide range of behaviors. But now, at first, best conflict resolution behaviors are first, try to put yourself in other person's position. What is the word we can use for this definition? Try to put yourself in other person's position. What is this? What is the word we can use it?
Empathy.
Excellent. Empathy. Empathy is put oneself in other person's position. To look at from his or her view to the world. It is not about the emotion. It is about the, I can guess that how he or she is looking at the world to experience such a pain, to experience such an anger, to experience such a stress, to experience such an anxiety. I understand his or her view, not his or her emotions. I know the pathway between starting the problems and emotional engagement. For example, getting anger or getting a stress or getting, for example, anxiety. So at first, empathy is one of the greatest and the most important resolution behaviors for conflict resolution. 2, focus on interest, not positions. It is very important. For example, if you have some conflict with your children, with your spouse, with your parents, with your close friends, and you focus on the positions that you are experiencing the conflict, what is the answer? More focus on the conflictual position, more emotional conflict you are experiencing, more in negative emotions you are experiencing. So if you focus on interest and find the mutual interest and find the mutual gains and find the mutual goals, okay, that can help you. Attempt to create solutions to the problems. Because of that, we say in constructive conflict management, we have a lot of new ideas, we have a lot of new creativity, we have a lot of new alternatives, mutual gains and mutual goals. These are the key words of constructive conflict management strategies. So attempt to create solutions to the problems, not to find only. It is not only about the finding problem solution. It is about creating solutions. Express emotion honesty. Why we cannot express our emotion honestly and sometimes directly? Why we cannot walk the talk? Do you know, Jaime, what is the meaning of walk the talk?
What does that mean?
Courtney, explain for her what is the meaning of walk the talk.
It means if you gotta, I was gonna say put your money where your mouth is. I don't think that's enough. You have to not just say you're going to do something, but actually do it. Like if you're going to say you're going to do this or do that, then you have to follow through with the action of doing it also.
Walk the talk. You are the symbol of desires, of the wishes you want to see in the world. You are the actual symbol of the desires, of the wishes you want to see in the world. It is walk the talk. It is creating your words to your actions. Talk with people with your actions, not with your words. It is called walk the talk. Integrity between internal and internal feelings, internal thought, and external behaviors. Talking in the word, in the phrase walk the talk, talking is the symbol of internal part of you, and walk is the symbol of external part of you. When you say walk the talk, it means that yes, you should show your inner feelings, your inner emotions straight to other people with no coverage, no hidden parts. And you should be the symbol of your thought, of your talking. Express emotion honestly. There are some cultural differences between different cultures. For example, I don't know, in Korea that Jaime lives, what is the limit of expressing yourself as an honest? Can we hide some emotions, for example, for expressing to our parents, for expressing to our grandma, grandpa, or other people, or no? For example, in America, you can use everything for expressing your emotions. It is called low contextual countries. Low contextual countries or low contextual cultures, there are the cultures that they don't have any other meaning behind their words. Just the same word they are talking, the same meaning they are showing you. No other hidden meaning, no other second or third meaning. But for example, in my country, in my culture, we are high contextual culture. High contextual culture in my country, in my language, when say something, we can have some second and third and fourth, for example, meaning of the same word. What is the benefit of this? We can use one word for different aspects. What is the negative word? Sometimes we are confused that what each of the meaning the speaker is meant to use that word. It is high context and low context, not good, not bad. It is about the literature. For example, poet and poetry in my country, in my culture is very important and very enriched. But in America, you don't have so a lot of poet and poetry. Why? Because of the history is, for example, for 100 years only or 500 years old. It is not good or bad. It is about the culture. So express emotion honestly. I don't know, in Korea and in Oriental cultures, can we say anything honestly and directly or no? We should we should have some politeness ceremonies. We cannot, it is not good for a lady, young lady to say everything or not. In America, you can say everything and nobody is surprised. White American doesn't surprise. Sometimes in other cultures, yes. What about the Korea?
Oh, in Korea,
Yes. Can we
well, you
express some
need
emotion
to,
honestly and directly or not?
yes, you really need to express emotions like honestly, because like in Korea, like people get like Korean people, they really do get like confused with your action. So like if you're like, for example, if you're like if you're not so polite, or and you're not telling the truth, like you're telling the lies, then you should be really honest
Yeah.
to
Okay.
to
And direct
others.
and direct, are they direct people? So straight, same thing they are thinking about saying or not? We have a lot of words to cover the meaning, and they want to, for example, using other meaning. You say that they are very honest. And also in America, I think people are very honest and very direct. Sometimes to be direct is not so polite. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes you love to say you a little in the hidden parts with a very calm, what they said, so direct to you, not very impolite, but some direct is not sometimes very pretty, very beautiful talking about people. Reach out, make the first move to make amends. It is reach out, make the first move to make amend. It is the other conflict management skill. Document areas of agreement and disagreement. It is the very important stage for solving a conflict. Why? Because before documentation, before definition of conflicts, you cannot talk about the agreement and disagreement. Sometimes people are arguing together, and after I ask them, what's the definition of your problem? They don't have any clear definition of their problem. They are confused. So the first step to solve a problem is problem definition. It is the first step. And play down differences, emphasize common interests. It is very important. Why? What do you want to do? Do you want to argue together for a whole life, for your job, for your family, for your salary in different races different races in, for example, a country or not? Play down differences, emphasize common interests. To emphasize on common interests will create common sense about everything, especially in intimate relationships, like, for example, with wife or with husband. Identify 3 or 4 actions other party would like you take. It is very important if you want to solve your conflicts friendly. It is constructive. What is the worst scenario? The worst scenario is when you have a back history of different negative emotions in your relationship. And after that, you cannot find any good emotions about your relationship. Sometimes you should divorce, sometimes you should be separated, and other parts. Worst conflict resolution behaviors. Pay attention to this part. After looking at the worst conflict resolution behaviors, you find that, wow, a lot of worst conflict resolution behaviors, you and your friends, your family members, and your other relatives have a lot of worst conflict resolution actions or behavior. Avoiding the conflict. We talk about avoidance. We say in interpersonal conflict management resolutions strategies, when you don't consider your own concerns and you don't consider other people's concerns, the conflict management strategy will be avoidance. You want to delete the problem, not to solve the problem. So avoiding the conflict is the major part and is the first worst conflict strategy for conflict management. And you know that in mental illnesses, we say that avoidance is the mother of all mental illnesses. If you approach, if you're facing, you're confronting with your problems, a lot of problems will be solved, or you will accept them and sometimes give up. But avoidance is the mother of all mental illnesses. So confronting is one of the first and best procedures for mental illness therapy. Winning at all costs. Wow. Such an enemy aspect to solving it. Winning at all costs. And all costs is dying sometimes. All costs is family destruction sometimes. All costs is, for example, to be a president in the White House without any willing to go out sometimes. Displaying anger. Anger destroys everything in your relationship. The worst answer to conflict and the most popular, the most frequent answer in conflict, and the first answer is anger. So displaying anger is one of the worst conflict resolution behaviors. Demeaning the other party. Demeaning that, no, it doesn't mean what are we talking about? It's not important. Devaluating or demeaning the other party, the second man or woman that you have conflict with him or her. Retaliating or trying to get revenge. again. After losing some benefits, you are going for another revenge, and another revenge produce another conflict. I'm meeting separately with the people in conflict, avoiding. Sometimes it is near avoiding. And negotiation. What is negotiation? What is the definition of negotiation?
Where two parties agree, they come to a solution that they both can settle with. Or is that more
so the outcome of negotiation is compromising?
Well, yes, it can be. Well, it's like, so I'm going to negotiate. I offer you this and you can accept it or counter offer me a different deal. And then we go back and forth until we both are satisfied.
And other outcomes of negotiation, except of compromising. For example, collaboration can be a outcome of negotiation.
Integration.
Collaboration, working together. At the end of negotiation, is it possible to reach to the state of collaboration or not? Negotiation is always ending with compromising, which is true. Because negotiation doesn't end to avoidance, it is not negotiation, it is argument. Competition, it is not negotiation, it is conversation sometimes. And also not accommodation. Accommodation is not a result of negotiation. Accommodation is mean that you don't have any concern of yourself. You don't have any gain for yourself. And you leave all the gains for other people. It is accommodation. Only concerns of others, not consider your concerns of yourself. No, it is accommodation. It is not adaptation. It is accommodation. Adaptation is win-win game. Adaptation is positive. Accommodation is not positive. It is negative. And also in competition. In competition, you don't consider your own concerns. You don't consider other people's concerns. You only consider your own concerns. You want to be the absolute and the only winner. It is competition. So negotiation cannot end to accommodation and or competition. And also avoidance. We talk about the avoidance. Where it is not important for yourself, your own concerns and other people's concerns also. It is avoidance. You want to go out of the game. You want to leave the situation. It is avoidance. So we have only other two options. One, compromising. Two, collaboration. Curtin says that negotiation will end to compromising, to have a joint and mutual goal, to reach a creative mutual gains. It seems that the outcome of negotiation is about mutuality. It is about yes. We have win-win game. Is it true or not? After that, I want to ask you, what is the meaningful differences between negotiation and conversation? Is there any differences between negotiation or conversation or not?
You're trying to come up with an agreement for negotiation. You're trying to find out the best for you and the best for the other person is looking out for what they want, the best for their idea. And so you're coming together.
Yes.
In a conversation, you're just discussing it with not
yes. And what is the difference between conversation and discussion? We have 4 words. Argument, at first it is conversation. Second is discussion. Third is argument. Fourth is negotiation. We have 4 words, 4 different words. Conversation, discussion, argument, and negotiation. When it is only about information, about data, it is conversation. With any emotion about the information, with any judgment about the information, only giving and taking data, it is conversation. But when you have some judgment, some emphasis on proving or rejecting some type of data, and you are searching or looking for a specific result, it is discussion. In discussion, you won't be the only winner. So discussion, it is about analyzing everything and gaining some different new outcomes, new results, new conclusion. The result of discussion is called conclusion. But the result of argument is winning or losing. So the conclusion of conversation is consciousness raising. More information, more data. The result of discussion is conversation is information raising, consciousness raising. The result of discussion is about conclusion. The result of argument is winning or losing. And the result of negotiation is mutual goals or mutual gains. Negotiation is concentration on interest. Negotiation is finding shared meaning and shared goals. The outcome of negotiation is working together. A process in which two or more parties make offers, counter offers, and concessions in order to reach an agreement. So, the aim of negotiation is agreement. We are talking about shared meaning, shared goal, mutual gain, mutual goals. The outcome of negotiation is agreement. The outcome of discussion is conclusion. The outcome of argument is winning or losing. And the outcome of conversation is information rising or consciousness raising. Only about the data and information. Which are more emotional? Argument is very emotional. Winners have always good emotions, positive emotions, and losers have always negative emotion or bad emotions. For example, frustration is a very, very, very bad emotion, negative emotion in losers. And sense of victory and dominancy and sense of power is a very positive emotion in winners. So argument is about winning and losing. And discussion is about concluding and conclusions. And conversation is about transfer data. But the outcome of negotiation should be agreement. Because of this, we use the word shared. Distributive negotiation. Wow. We are talking about agreement, and at the other side, we say distributive negotiation. Any gain to one party is offset by an equivalent loss to the other party. It is distributive negotiation. One loses, one gives. One takes and one gives. Integrative negotiation. A win-win negotiation in which the agreement involves no loss to either party. So, we have two types of agreement. In one type, you lose and other people gain, or other people lose and you gain. It is distribution of the points. Can be fair? Yes, sometimes it is fair. Why not? But it's about distribution. This for me, that for you. This for me, that for you. Is it an agreement? Yes. But it is not about the contribution. It is the integral. It is about distribution. But very fair and very happy agreement. It is negotiation. It is near argument. Yes, it is near argument. But conflict in argument is very high. The aim of the argument is not agreement. The aim of argument is killed or to be killed, winning or losing. The aim of the argument, the predefined argument of preset of argument, conclusion of argument is winning or losing. But the predefined aim of the negotiation is agreement. Sometimes it is distributing negotiation, distributing agreement. Sometimes it is integrating agreement. Everybody is happy here. It's a win-win game. It's very important as a manager in the future, as a leader in the future, as a parent, as a family member, as a social citizen. You should know about the specific differences between words. Especially the words can have a lot of meaning loud in their meaning. They can have interpreted in several types, in several sentences, in several meanings. You should know at least your own meaning of the words. So I want to ask you, what is the aim of negotiation, Courtney? Only one word. The aim of negotiation is
agreement.
And Jaime, what is the aim of the discussion? It is discussion and conclusion. These are the words to be together. Remember it. We always say discussion and conclusion. If you go to the MBA and doctorate and DBA, you should write a thesis, and the final part of thesis is discussion and conclusion. And what is the aim of conversation?
When discussing data and information.
Only information, not discussing or transferring information. And what is the aim of the argument?
Right or wrong.
Right or wrong, winning or losing. Okay, go for 15 minutes break, and after 15 minutes, I will be here and you will be here for continuing the course.
이 뭐야?
여보세요?
나 지금 쉬는 시간인데 말해도 돼. 쉬는 시간이야.
그래도
이거 조금 먹어야지.
Okay, welcome again. And we will continue the discussion about the negotiation. We talk about two types of negotiation: distributive negotiation and integrative negotiation. Integrative negotiation have four fundamental principles. One, separate relationship issues or people problems from substantive issues at first. We are talking about the problems, not about the problematic people. We are talking about the problems, about the features, about the adjective, about the traits, not about the people with those traits, not about the people with those problems. It is very important. Also in parenting, it is very important. When you want to talk with your children, you should not talk about their personality. You should talk about their behaviors. So no, it is not so efficient. You say, you are so stupid. No. Because it is about the personality. You say, these type of actions is for stupid people. These type of actions has some bad effect, have some negative results. We are talking about the problems, not about the problematic people. So in integrative negotiation, at first separate relationship issues or people problem from substantive issue at first. Second, focus on interest, not positions. It's a very good test in psychology. And a lot of times you may consider, you may visit this type of problems in your interview, job interviews, for example. When you ask people, what do you want? Very easy, they talk about what they didn't want. When you ask them, what's your final goal of your life? They talk about what they don't want to do. We don't want to be ill. We don't want to be too old. We don't want to be poor. They don't talk about the things and goals they want. They have concentrated on what they don't want. Is there a difference? Yes. There is two approaches. There are two approaches in life when you are going to achieving your goals. At first, you want to avoid the negative achievement, the negative goals you want to avoid. It is not about the achievement, it is approaching. It is about avoiding. You are only defending yourself against the bad situations, about the bad results of your life. You are not going forward. You are only defending at the best scenario. You are at the same place that you are now. But when you want to go forward to achievement, to achieve your goals, your desired goal, it is a different thinking about the life. It is going forward. It is not about stopping at the same position and pretending that, yes, if I know that I don't go forward, but I don't go back also, I'm at the same position. So it is very important to concentrate on the positive emotions, on the positive interests, on the positive and shared goals in integrative negotiation, in opposite of distributive negotiation. Focus on interest, not positions. Negotiate about the things people need, not the things they say they want. Look for new solutions to the problem that will allow both sides to win. We talked about the constructive conflict management, creativity, and finding new alternatives or shared gains or mutual goals, and insist on outside objective fairness criteria. What are the fairness criteria in your culture? For example, Courtney, how do you think about the fairness criteria in your family? What are the, when you say, yes, we are fair parents to our children?
Well, I have, like, I've told you guys before, I have a 9-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. So to be fair, I can't let Ella skip her homework and make Brighton do his homework, or let Brighton go to bed at 10 and let Ella make her go to sleep at 7. So to be fair, we give them the same amount of chores and make them do the same tasks and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what about you, Jaime? How do you think about the fair criteria, for example, in your society or in your family? Is there any objective fair criteria, fairness criteria? Or not? Everything is subjective. When it is subjective, it is not bad, but people are confused about the subjective fairness criteria. They don't know anything direct and objective and measurable and observable criteria for diagnosing that this behavior is fair or not. It is about the fairness criteria. So it should be objective and measurable and observable. Because of that, we are talking about the objective fairness criteria instead of outside. Why? When you are talking about the inside of people, you are consisting not on the interest, you are consisting and emphasis on the emotions. And we talk about the emotions that create a lot of problems in the process of negotiation and in the process of conflict resolution. They create a lot of problems when you consistently emphasize on the emotions. Now we need some outside observable, measurable, objective, not subjective, fairness criteria. Okay. Effective negotiation. Tips for effective negotiation. Make sure each side knows the other interest and perception of the issues. It is important for negotiation, not for conversation, not for discussion, not for argument. It is important for negotiation that we know the aim of the negotiation is agreement, is share meaning and share goals and share gains. We know it, that the aim of the negotiation is agreement. At first, we should have a shared definition of the problems. If only one side think that this definition of problem is correct, and other party think no, this definition is not correct, and other definition is correct, we don't have any shared meaning about the problem. So at first, we should have a shared definition of the problem. Make sure each side knows the other interest and perception of the issues. And other perception is very important. Other perception of the issue and other parties' interest. Identify what you can and cannot part with. It is very realistic. They say we don't make any empty promises. Empty promises is about the things that you cannot do. It is empty promises. So when you make some empty promises, it is false. It is not true. It is fake. It is not real. So identify the limitations and the resources. It is very important in every aspect of life. You should know your limitations and your resources. Identify and use sources of leverage. Some points, some actions, some thinking, some shared meanings has a leverage effect on gaining some agreement after after negotiation. They have leverage effect on your success. You should know the source of leverage effect and show the other side that you understand their position. It is called empathy. Show empathy to the other parties of the negotiation process and suppress your emotions. It is very important. And you know BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It is BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. You should know them. Why suppress our emotion? Because emotion regulation and emotion irregulation, when you cannot control your emotion in a negotiation, the process of negotiation go to the hell. It is very bad. You cannot give any conclusion, any agreement when you are angry, when you are sad, when you are stressful, when you are anxious in a negotiation. You cannot go to the agreement. Agreement is the opposite side of anger. Agreement is the opposite side of sadness. So you should control and sometimes suppress. Because of that, self-control is the greatest basic skill every negotiator should know. Even a good negotiator cannot control himself or herself in a negotiation process. They will destroy every agreement after negotiation. Alternative dispute resolution. Involving a third party in negotiation to overcome a stalemate. Third party, this third person, which is not on your side or on your other party's side. This is the third party. Three types: conciliation, mediation, and arbitration. These are the three types of third party that you can use for dispute resolution. In conciliation, it is ombudsman. We have someone who investigates complaints and mediates fair settlements between aggrieved parties. It is ombudsman. It's very important. Every family, every tribe, every not organization, every corporation, cooperation, cooperative activities needs somebody that come in the middle part and have some fair distribution of rights between different parties of a negotiation. Without having such a person, every negotiation goes to the argument. And the aim of the argument is not agreement. The aim of the argument is winning. It is the opposite of agreement. You cannot be a winner and a good agreement. Why? Because when you are a winner, absolutely you have a loser. It is not agreement. It is winning and losing. It's a part of game. Conciliation. A third party builds a positive relationship between the parties, improves their communication, and facilitate their discussion. It is called the duty of conciliation for the third party. At first, positive relationship. Second, positive communication. 3, discussion facilitation. At first, relationship. Based upon the good relationship, we can have a good communication. Based upon the good communication, we can have a good discussion. Before positive relationship, you cannot have a good communication. And without any good communication, you cannot facilitate your discussion. It is argument, it is not discussion. Conciliator may suggest a resolution sometimes. Sometimes they have some advices, some comments, some resolution. And parties can accept or reject his or her proposal. It is not mandatory. The basic function of conciliator is facilitate the discussion by building the relationship and communication. But sometimes he or she has some resolution, and it is not mandatory for the parties of the resolution to accept or reject. It is not mandatory. They can accept and they cannot. It is not important. It is mediation. The second part of third party can be the second function of third party can be mediation. An impartial third party, the mediator, facilitates discussion using persuasion and logic. It is something more rigid, something more role-playing of mediator. As you see here in conciliator, we don't have any force to accepting the comments. It is only proposal. But we have here some serious proposal, persuasion and logic. It is very important for mediator to persuade to other parties, the two parties of the negotiation, to reach a common, for example, shared definition of the problem, or common shared resolution or discussion about the resolution for problem. A mediator suggests alternative and establishes each side's priorities. He or she is something like coaching, something mentoring, a weaker coach, not very, a coach is very straight and direct. But mediator is somebody like a coach, like a mentor, said, this is true, that is not true. Okay, we have an alternative and establish each side's priorities for them. And mediator suggested settlement is not legally binding. It is a very, very important criteria. settlement doing by mediator suggestions is not legally binding. There is no legal support for this type of settlement. It is interpersonal. But in arbitration may be required or voluntary. Why? Because we have some legal part for arbitration. Negotiation parties establish rules for the arbitrator. And arbitral decision is legally binding. So we have three parts. At first, only facilitating of the discussion. It is about conciliation. No mandatory recommend, no mandatory decision. It is only facilitation, bettering the communication better or making the relationship better and facilitate the discussion. It is conciliation. And after that, we have some straight and direct decisions for the two parties, to the oppositional parties, oppositional sides of the negotiation, but it is not legally mandatory. But in arbitration, we have, yes, straight and direct decision, dictation of sometimes of decision to the two parties of the negotiation. And finally, it is legally binding. Always results in a settlement, but has greater potential to leave at least one party dissatisfied. It is one of the cardinal features of arbitrations. We see a lot of people as the one party of the negotiations are not satisfied. They are dissatisfied with the final comments of arbitration. Okay, we can go to the next chapter and see what we have here in chapter 11. Chapter 11 is about traditional leadership approaches, characterize the nature of leadership, trace the early approaches to leadership, and discuss the emergence of situational theories, and describe Verum's decision tree approach to leadership. Before that, I want to talk about the negotiation. What did you learn from I think the negotiation process and the conflict resolution is one of the basic and most important skills everybody should know, because you have always, and you are always in conflictual decision-making situations, always. Sometimes these are not complicated, sometimes they are very complicated, multidimensional. A lot of dimensions you should assess for solving your problems, for solving your and resolving your, for example, conflict, and have a good negotiation. So it is the basic, one of the greatest and most crucial basic skills everybody should know, especially in the time of management and leadership. You are a leader. You are not a king. You are not a chief of tribe. It is a leader of movement. It is a manager of organization. You should know the persuasion skills. You should have a good analysis about the conflictual situation. With this knowledge, you have some criteria. Yes, what type of conflict this is, what is the book said about the resolution of this conflict, what are our predictions. It is a science. You know, sometimes it is called dark psychology. I don't know why they use the dark for this type of psychology. They said it is the art of manipulation. It is not the art of manipulation. It is the art of knowledge and knowing about the manipulation skills. But it is not dark. Sometimes, for example, if your child doesn't know anything about the goodness or badness for him or her, you should manipulate. Yes, it is not as a bad thing. It is guiding. But sometimes as a leader, you should know some forcing for other people. Why? Because before they know what is good or bad for them, they will experience a lot of damages. Your prediction forces, your prediction managerial forces create a lot of chance at least for predicting and preventing a lot of damages. So persuasion is very important knowledge, I think, for every type of management and every type of leadership. Okay. Wow, we are talking about the leadership. My course in the morning is about leadership. And now in this chapter, we are talking about the leadership again. So say me a definition of leadership. What is leadership? It is the time of leadership now. Maybe you go, for example, to Udemy or Coursera or edX, the sites that provide a lot of free of charge or sometimes prepaid courses for you. Cannot find a lot of management courses. We find a lot of leadership courses. Why? What is leadership? Why now is the age of leadership, not the age of management? Management is the old fashion. The new fashion is leadership. And I don't know what is the next part. I think the next part after leadership is mentorship. And coaching and mentorship is the next level of leadership. But now it is the age of leadership. What is leadership? How can you define leadership? Jaime. What is leadership? How can you define leadership? Now, what is the difference between leadership and management?
Leadership, I think it means like like to be a big, like if you want to become a leader, then you need to be like you need to like you need to like
okay,
like
Courtney can help you. Courtney can help you to define a leadership.
Leadership, you're trying to, you have people that are following, you have people following your lead and you are guiding them. Managing, you are, I'm just trying to look at my notes I have from the previous ones. Managing is you have people working under you, like you are in charge of your employees. And being a leader is just being able to go above and beyond to do whatever you need to do and then have them agree, not, I guess, agree with you and follow you.
Yeah. So as a manager, you have co-workers, members, employees. But as a leader, you have followers.
Yes.
The function of management is maintenance, best maintenance of present situation. The function of leadership is going to the furthest, next situation, next version. So management is present oriented, but leadership is future oriented.
Yes.
It's very important. And in management, the side of science is heavier than the side of personality. To be a good manager, you need more science than characters and personality traits. But for leadership, in addition to science, you need a character. Personality traits can help and facilitate becoming a leader. It is not necessary, but it can help. I have a live Insta Live 2 or 3 years before today in the weekend with a leadership coach in Canada, and they said to us that in leadership, when you say, is there any genetic? He said the name of the genes they have found as the leadership gene, that it creates the tendency to be a leader. It doesn't create the features and the skills of leadership. It creates the tendency to be a leader. The people with such an active gene, they have more tendency to be a leader. So Genetic is important. Genetic as a tendency, yes, important. Only as a tendency, not more than of that. Okay. Thank you. And we go for here, the nature of leadership, both a process and a property. It's very important. Leadership is a process and leadership is a property, is a feature, is a being, and is a becoming. A process as becoming and property of being. It is something, the combination of nature and nurture. You should have some natural features to be a leader, yes. And you should gain some nurturing traits. You should be trained to become a leader. As a process, the use of non-coercive influence to direct and coordinate the activities of group members to meet a goal. It is a leadership, not about the becoming a leader, the process of leadership. And as a property, the set of characteristics attributed to those perceived to use influence successfully. And what is the meaning of influence? The ability to affect the perceptions, beliefs, attitude, motivation, and or behavior of others. So the keyword of influence is affect. There are some differences between influencing and leading, yes. Influencing is only one of the features you need to be a good leader. It is necessary, yes. It is sufficient, no. It is only efficient, not sufficient. In addition to be influencer, you should have a lot of other great features to be a good leader. Except of that, you can only be an influencer. For example, when you go to Instagram, you see a lot of people as the influencer, Insta influencers. Are they leaders? No. They have followers? Yes. But they don't have any dominance on the heart of thinking of their followers. They are only role models in the specific area the people are following them, only in that area. They are not leader, they are influencer. So for becoming a good leader, at least you should be an influencer. But if you are an influencer, it doesn't mean that you are a good leader. In addition of influencing and affecting other people's perceptions, beliefs, attitude, motivations, and behaviors, you need some extra skills and needed some extra traits in your personality or in your knowledge and skill. You see here, it is Kotter's distinction between management and leaders, creating an agenda, developing a human network for achieving the agenda, executing plans and outcomes. Management, planning and budgeting. For creating an agenda, okay, management is only planning and budgeting. But in creating an agenda, leadership has establishing direction. It is something more and beyond of planning and budgeting. Planning and budgeting is for the present moment, but direction is about the future. Developing a human network for achieving the agenda, organizing and staffing is the duty of management. But aligning people is the function of leader. Executing plans, for executing plans, management only controlling and problem solving, but motivating and inspiring in the executive role of executing plans of leaders. And outcomes of management is produce a degree of predictability and order and has the potential to consistently produce major results expected by various stakeholders. But in leadership, produces change, often a dramatic degree, and has the potential to produce extremely useful change. So in leadership, we are talking about producing change. In management, we are talking about the maintaining the orders and consistency. As I said, management is focused on present moment. It is present oriented, while leadership is future oriented. Early approaches to the trait approach to leadership says that, for example, Donald Trump has the trait approach to leadership. He says that, yes, leadership is a type of genetic. It is the trait It's a trait of personality. Leaders are born in this approach also, not in the reality. In reality, leaders are not born, they are made. But in this approach, trait approach, which is one of the first and hot approaches to leadership, is yes, we have the trait and genetic features and family history of leadership. They say attempts to identify stable and enduring character traits that differentiate effective leaders from non-leaders, focusing on identify leadership traits, developing method for measuring leadership traits, and using method to select leaders. But current limited set of leadership traits says emotional intelligence, drive, motivation, honesty and integrity, self-confidence, cognitive ability, knowledge of the business, and charisma, and especially charisma. It is current limited set of leadership traits. Are these traits important? Yes. Are all of them genetic and a personality trait? No. No. Even charismatic leadership, you know that the most influential trait-based approach to leadership is charismatic leadership. So it's my charismatic personality to have a good leadership on other people and are my followers. They said that it is charismatic traits, charismatic leadership, to influence and to overcome and to dominate, have dominancy on the thought and hearts of people. It's called charismatic leadership. Even in charismatic leadership, you know that we can learn people how to be charismatic. It's a science of, for example, body language. Body language is a part of science of to be charismatic. You can learn, practice, and progress in using your body language for producing some unconscious or semi-conscious, not conscious, unconscious or semi-conscious messages to other people. It is possible? Yes. It can be a part of training? Again, yes. Behavioral approaches to leadership. It is another approaches. The first approach was trait approach. Second part is behavioral approach. Behavioral approach in all aspects of behavioral in opposition of trait. Trait says, yes, the only thing which is important is nature in trait approach. In behavioral approach, they said the only thing is important is nurture, not nature. Behavioral approach in therapy and counseling and consultation and also in leadership says that you can learn everything. Everything can be learned. Everything can be trained. It is an oppositional side, an oppositional direction of trait approaches. Attempts to identify behavior that differentiate effective leaders from non-leaders. Earlier studies on behavioral approaches to leadership says the leadership grid, the Ohio State studies, and the Michigan studies. These are the three major part of earlier studies about the leadership. Same with the name of the great, not the great positive or negative leaders. The most effective leaders you know in the history, for example, in the 20th century history. What are the greatest effective leaders? In all aspects, in politics, in economy, in a spiritual part, in daily life, every aspect you know.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
In what area?
Politics.
Politics. What is his area of politics? What he has done?
Women equality.
Women equality, okay. Other people? In his introduction to his great lecture, he says, we have the honor to introduce you the moral leader of the history of our nation. The introducer says this sentence, and after that, We have the pleasure to introduce you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Do you know him?
Martin Luther King.
Yes. Martin Luther King, Jr., in his great speech in 1963 in Washington, D.C., in the symbolic shadow of the Abraham Lincoln, he had a great lecture about the Black people, about the equality of Black people. And he said about the Negroes. Negro is meant Black people. And he said, I have a dream. I have a dream. It is a very great lecture. And he says this is the greatest demonstration for the freedom in the history of US in 1963. And after that also he was killed by assassination. He was one of the greatest public figure and public leader and intellectual leader and emotional leader. He was really a leader. He was thinking about the future. Why? Because he said, I have a dream. Dream is not about the present moment. Dream is about the future. Other people, other charismatic leaders that you know from all around the world, America, Asia, Africa. We have a very, very good and great African leader. His name is, it's the icon of persistency.
Nelson Mandela?
Yeah, Nelson Mandela. He's the icon of persistency. 28 years in prison. 28 years in prison. Non-violent action, non-violent dependency, non-violent, without any dependency.
I know one famous leader.
Who is?
I think his name is Winston Churchill.
Yeah. Winston Churchill was a Great Britain politician in the Second World War. He was the Prime Minister of England. But it is surprising that he is the only politician who won the Nobel Prize for Literature, not for peace. A lot of politicians won the Peace Prize of Nobel Peace Prize. But Winston Churchill won the Nobel Prize for Literature because of his deep language and deep skills of using the word in his lectures. And also, he was a great mind in establishing new policies for the future of the world. Yes, Winston Churchill. And who is the generator, who is the founder of New Korea? Is there anybody who founded New Korea after the war with America or not?
In Korea?
Yeah. Before separating to the North Korea and after separating to the North Korea and South Korea, is there anybody very iconic, very famous in creating new South Korea or not? For example, who is the founder of America as the United States? Courtney, who is the founder of the United States as the United States, not as the America? We know Christopher Columbus, Americano, has discovered it. But who is the founder of United States as the United?
Founder.
George Washington?
George Washington. And who is the greatest for separating and fighting against the discrimination, North of America and South of America?
Oh, yes. Lincoln.
Lincoln, yes. Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, the Civil War, yeah.
Yeah. In the second part, in the second decade, second part of 19th century, in 1862 or 61, I think. It is Emancipation Proclamation. Emancipation Proclamation is the letter for separating and give the citizenship rights to the Negro. And after 100 years, just after 100 years, Dr. Martin Luther King talked about this Emancipation Proclamation that he says, yes, After 100 years, the Negro are not still free, he says in 1963. Okay. What are the results of Michigan studies? Results indicated two fundamental leader behaviors. One, job centers leader behavior. Two, employee center leader behavior. We have two types of leader behavior. One part of leader behavior is concentrated on your job, on the result. It is result oriented. It is process oriented. And one part is on the people. It is employee centered leader behavior. Job center leader behavior, paying close attention to the work of subordinates, not to themselves as people. It is the job, it is the work that which is very important. Explaining work procedures and demonstrating a strong interest in performance. But in employee center leader behavior, attempting to build effective work groups with high performance goals. It is now current in the organization. We can see dominant leaders and influencing leaders. Dominant leaders are result oriented, but influencing leaders are people oriented. So dominant leaders are not so doesn't have any trust level. It is only the result of the people in the organization is important. But influencing people, influencing leader has a high trust level, very high trust level. And they have so projective self-confidence. Okay. And about Ohio State studies shows that define two independent dimensions of leadership. Again, leader consideration behavior and leader initiating structure behavior. In leader consideration behavior, showing concern for subordinate feelings and respecting subordinates' ideas. People are, again, important with other terminology. Terminology is leader consideration behavior. And leader initiating structure behaviors, clearly defining leader subordinate roles such that subordinates know what is expected of them. Also, we can use it and we can find it in the parenting styles with different parenting styles. Sometimes our parenting, it is very democratic. The children and their action and their liberty for the action is very important for the parents. Authoritative parents, they are not democratic. They said, yes, this is good, this is bad. This is yes, this is no. So is there anything good or bad? No. Each of this type of parenting has its advantages and disadvantages. You see in leadership also, leader consideration behaviors and leader initiating structure behaviors. And finally, original the managerial grid in leadership grid provides a means for evaluating leadership styles and then training managers to move toward an ideal style of behavior. That leadership grid, you see two dimensions here, concern for production and concern for people, result orientation and people orientation. Again, so you see that between 1 to 9, the highest, the moderate team management, country club management, middle of the road management, impoverished management, and authority compliance management. The leadership grid is a method of evaluating leadership style. We see 5 types of leadership style here. It is impoverished management, it is one leadership style. Authority compliance management or authority compliance style. Middle of the road management, it is a leadership style. Country club management, it is a leadership style. And team management, it is a leadership style. In impoverished management, exertion of minimum effort to get required work done is appropriate to sustain organization membership. So the concept for production is low, and the concept for people is also low. But when concept of people is middle, but concept of production is low, we say middle of the road management. It means that adequate organization performance is possible through balancing the necessity to get out work with maintaining morale of people at a satisfactory level. It is moral of people, the zest of people, the vitality of the people that we are working for us. It is very important. And other part you can study, it is country club management, team management, and authority complaint management with the high concern for production, with the lower concern of people. It is something like that. We talk about the negotiation and conflict. We talk about the concerns of yourself and concern of other people. It is concern of production and concern of people. Okay, you can check the quiz week 5 quiz, and you have about 15 minutes to pass the quiz. If there are any question, you can send me an email and I try to answer you as quickly as possible. Any question?
No.
Okay, have a good weekend and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I have a whole bunch of stuff to go get ready.
I'm also here until the end of the time. I'm also here.
Goodbye. See you next week.
Bye, Courtney.
Bye.
Oh, Professor Arash.
What's the problem?
Oh, I already finished my quiz.
It's quick. It's finished.
Yes.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
Have a nice
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye.
Bye.